Karoo's roadmap is written, and the first work packages are with delivery teams now. The architecture stops being a set of documents and becomes something people either follow or quietly work around. Phase G is implementation governance. Get it wrong one way, and every project sits waiting for approval. Get it wrong the other way, and the roadmap never gets built. Start with when the reviews happen, because that's the part delivery teams feel. Karoo runs 3 review points on a work package. One at design before anything is built, one mid-build when the first real integration lands, and one before it goes live. That's the whole schedule. Not every sprint, not every pull request. The design review is the cheap one. Changing a diagram costs an afternoon. Changing a shipped integration costs weeks. Those reviews check against the architecture contract, and that's the real mechanism of Phase G. The delivery team commits to checkable things. Use the standard database from Phase D, read customer data from the shared record, and not a 10th copy. Publish the events other teams are waiting on. Here's the part most organizations skip. Architecture commits back. It owes that team a decision inside an agreed number of days, a current reference architecture, and someone who sits in the room when the design gets awkward. A contract that binds one side isn't a contract, it's a memo, and it gives reviews something concrete. The build compared to what was agreed, not to an architect's taste. Now, Karoo's loyalty team hits a standard that genuinely doesn't fit their case, and the deadline is real. There are 3 ways that ends. Block them, and they miss the date and resent the process. Let it quietly slide, and the standard is now fiction. Or issue a dispensation, a formal, recorded exception, scoped to this one work package, with an expiry date and a named owner who has to come back and either resolve it or ask again. The exception is visible instead of hidden, and it ends. A governance process with no legitimate escape hatch doesn't get respected. It gets routed around. Between those review points, architecture drift happens, and it's rarely dramatic. Someone adds a direct database read because the event feed wasn't ready. A field gets copied because a call was slow. Each one is reasonable on its own. What matters is when you find out. Drift caught at a design review costs a conversation. The same drift found after go live costs a migration. So the answer isn't more reviews, it's making drift visible between them. A build check that fails when a service reads a database it shouldn't. That's the balance. Too heavy, and governance becomes the place projects go to die. Too light, and the roadmap from phases E and F stays a document nobody built. Next episode closes the season with Phase H, Architecture Change Management. What you do when the business shifts underneath an architecture you only just finished, and how to tell a small adjustment from a whole new cycle. See you there.